It's time for the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is the voice of the working class, Rick Smith.
And welcome, brothers, sisters, working class heroes. This is the Rick Smith Show. Thanks so much for being here today on the big program. Lots to get to, lots to talk about. Big day in Washington today. Budgets, priorities, the morality police. You know, the people who tell us how religious they are, how much their faith is important to them. Well, it looks like they have shown their hand and they have passed, what is this called? Hold on. The Limit, Save, and Grow Act, otherwise known as Let's Shoot the Hostages Act. Got through the House. It was a squeaker. 217 to 215, which means all the Democrats voted against it and 4 Republicans voted against it. It's interesting, the 4 that voted against it, though, they're the, Matt Gaetz, Ken Buck, Andy Biggs, that Burchett guy from Tennessee, the crazy caucus. Now, my mind goes into this place of, they got enough votes to pass it. They needed that. But those 4 were given the okay to, you're the crazy ones. You could be against it because we're gonna play this. Now, understand, this bill, it's going nowhere. This was we're going to pander to the radical base, and it's not even far enough for the radical base. I have to wonder, and I wonder when these bills come up, because we do a lot of these performative, posturing kind of bills. I have to wonder if it really mattered how many people would actually vote for it. I think you'd get like maybe 30 or 40 that would have voted for it because it is that bad. It is that harmful. It is that dangerous. And again, when we talk about budgeting, and I love doing this with my religious folk, budgets are moral documents. It tells me what your priorities are. It tells me who you are without actually telling me who you are, because it lines up your priorities. For instance, remember, this is the party of compassion, the party of national security, the party of, hey, there's a photo up with a soldier and a flag. Let's get it. There's them. And yet, one of the things that this does is, and we've talked about this already, is just massive and painful cuts to the VA. Massive and painful cuts to the people that we put up on the pedestal and called heroes. 22% across the board they want. Right across the board. And what does that mean for our veterans? Wow. I mean, it means longer wait times for medical appointments for our soldiers. It means, what was it? Like 80,000 job cuts at the VA, they're saying. This kind of massive, massive cuts. Painful cuts. 81,000 jobs lost is what they're putting out. A 22% cut. And it means we're not going to have the people that we need to do the jobs that we have to ensure that people have the care that they need. Now remember, the heroes that we care about, that we called them heroes. We stand at every sporting event. We raise the flag and we clap for them. Again, performative stuff. But when it comes to where the rubber meets the road, this is a priority. 22% cut to the VA? Are you flipping kidding me? Now, granny, they don't let you off the hook either. 22% cut to the Social Security Administration. And what does that mean? That means more layoffs in that administration. That means, sorry, you're not going to get processed as quickly. People who need disability benefits not going to get processed, and those are way behind. It means less service. It means less help. It means, starving our government. They want to slash food assistance programs. 1 million low-income families, low-income seniors are going to go without food assistance. It means cuts to nursing home oversight. It just means all of the wrong things. But again, these are the people who tell us, no, we believe in family values. Going to have massive cuts at the border. They're saying if this goes through, 2,000 Customs and Border Patrol agents gone, 11,000 FBI personnel gone, hundreds of local law enforcement positions gone. But again, this is the party of law enforcement, law and order people. And go down the list of all of the things that will be torn apart. But I go back to the reality. The reality is they don't care about you and me. They don't care about working people. This is a performative display of them going after Biden. And Joe Biden saying, look, you spent the money. Increase the stupid limit. Why are you holding us hostage? I get people all the time going, things were so much better under Trump. My 401k. Do you know what your 401k is going to look like if our Republican friends get their wet dream wish? Do you know what this country is going to struggle through because of this? And this is the part that it just infuriates me, because there are people who go, no, they wouldn't let that happen. They're just negotiating. No, they're not. I said from the beginning, these folks truly want to shoot the message. They want to shoot the hostage. And I could spend all day going through just how bad this. Again, what's the stupid name? Listen, save, and grow. I could spend all 2 hours going through how bad this is and how it's going to hurt families, it's going to hurt workers, it's going to hurt communities. And they don't care because they know most working people aren't paying attention. It's angering and it's frustrating. Let's quick go to the phones. I got Kurt from Akron on line one. Kurt, how you doing today?
Hey, good evening, Rick, and thanks for your show. It's always informative and good. I have a question. Doesn't the 14th Amendment cover full faith and credit that basically we can't default on our debts based on the 14th Amendment?
Shh. Come on. No, you're not allowed to say that. Shh. This is a performative display.
So I'm right.
I believe that to be true, and I believe that the debt ceiling is idiotic and shouldn't be there. It's a construct to do just this. It's not about the things that they tell us about trying to rein in outrageous spending. The time when you rein in spending is before you spend it.
It's to pay the bills that, like your credit. I hate to use a Joe McCarthy. I hate to use a Kevin McCarthy example. It's paying down the credit card that we have. That's what it is.
Yep.
And, like someone said today, this debt ceiling is 97% of everything that that was before Joe Biden even became president, which is 25% of what Donald Trump racked up for 4 years over a 240-plus year experiment in what we call our representative democracy.
But again, this is, as I said, this is performative. This is about getting people to think it's all Biden's fault.
And also, I'll tell you this. McCarthy's looking at the fact that if we go off the fiscal cliff in June, that's going to be, 700,000 to 1 million jobs lost by the end of 2024? They're looking at that because, that's during the election. We can blame Joe Biden for that.
Yeah.
Isn't
that a shame?
They're looking ahead.
Isn't that a shame that in this day and age you have these politicians who it really is all about them. It's not about us. It's never about us.
Right. And you know how you cure this? I'm going to be dead serious honest how you'd cure this whole problem, because we never heard about debt ceilings during Eisenhower and Kennedy and all these people. You raise the top tax rate back up to 92%, like it should be.
I've been saying it for years. Dig up the good socialist president Dwight David Eisenhower. Then we don't have these problems.
Exactly, and then that's how you cure the debt problem, because we've never until Ronald Reagan, we've never heard of a debt ceiling.
Again, you create a crisis and then you use it to your advantage. Like they
and
say,
you know what? I think
never let a good crisis go to waste.
Rick, exactly, and I think, Rick, you need to write a book or a position paper of some kind and title it "They're Not the Solution to the Problem. They are the problem," meaning the current Republican Party.
There you go. Kurt, appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Bye-bye.
much. Look, the reality is what it is, and they're showing their hand. This is major stuff. This is going to affect every working person in this country, and it's you, it's me. You know who doesn't get affected by this? The very well-to-do, the people, our billionaire class. This doesn't harm them. This hurts that single mother who needs Section 8 housing. This hurts that single mother, my mother, when I was a kid, to put food on the table, to keep a roof over the head. This is dangerous. This is just incredibly irresponsible. But that doesn't matter to them. What matters is they get to win. And that's the frustration of the moment that I have, because we aren't pushing back enough on this. This is something that should be uniting us. This should be something that should be bringing us together, going, look, stupid, you pay your bills. I say it all the time. I'm a fiscal conservative. I pay my bills. I'm judicious in how I spend my money, and I make sure that I pay my bills. I'm right now reaching out to my conservative friends. Explain to me how it is that you can justify going, yeah, we spent the money. We debated it. We allocated it. It's earmarked for what needs to be done. We've made commitments. We've done all this stuff. But now after it's there, we're now going to balk at paying for it? It's nuts. And again, what these Republicans don't want is exactly what Kurt said. They don't want to tax the very wealthy who have been getting away with robbing our bank for the last 40 years. The reason wages have been stagnant for 40 years, the reason healthcare costs so much, the reason our retirement security has been mugged is because, well, we've got to pay homage to the chair. We got to kiss the rings. When are we going to stop? Want to hear your thoughts? Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. Got a lot to get to. This is another one of those moments where, seriously, we're going through this again? But what's different here is these Republicans, this group, this gang, they really do want to take the hostages out. That's you. That's me. That's us. Quick break. Right back.
From the steel mills of Pennsylvania to the auto factories of Michigan to the modern makers movement, manufacturing makes our nation great. I'm Scott Paul, president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing. We bring business and labor together to advocate for policies that everyone can agree on. Together, we can strengthen manufacturing and create good-paying American jobs. Help us keep it made in America.
The old factory towns in America's heartland have been taking a beating. Thing is, though, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. The Inflation Reduction Act will lower energy prices and create millions of new jobs by dramatically increasing the manufacturing of solar panels, wind turbines, electric cars, and energy-efficient home appliances. We're finally turning things around after 40 years of screwing over working people. But will we keep moving in the right direction? That's our choice as Americans.
We are AFGE, the American Federation of Government Employees. We represent 700,000 federal and D.C. government workers who are the vital threads of the fabric of American life. We support our nation's military. We take care of our nation's veterans. We protect our nation's borders. We respond to our nation's crises and natural disasters. We provide services to our nation's seniors. The American Federation of Government Employees. We work for America.
I am a member of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. I feel very connected to my West Virginian roots in being part of a union. We've always been known to generate energy here. Renewable energy would definitely help generate jobs and get people back to work. If we don't start bringing in more jobs, more and more people are going to leave. Solar, wind, hydro, these can help reinvigorate West Virginia's economy. It's time to give West Virginia a chance.
So an interesting hearing today in the Senate on abortion. And again, this is one of those real hot topics that we're supposed to be divided by, where I think the mass of we the people I think the majority of us, not the attention seekers and the political fundraisers, but the majority of the country, I believe, is right where I'm at, which is I'm not in favor of abortion, but I'm pro safety. I don't want people dying in back alleys. I want people to have opportunities to bring children into this world and want to. It shouldn't be the first club out of the bag, but I want my daughters to be safe first and foremost. And I think most people are that way. And I think people like Ted Cruz understand that, which is why every time I hear them lie, it drives me insane. And he did it today. One of his spiels he went on today was all about the lie. And we've heard this before, but I decided, we've got to play the lie. So here's Ted Cruz. One of the things that caught my attention that I just had to run out.
The current position of virtually every Democrat senator in this body is that abortion should be absolutely unlimited, available up until the moment of birth, and even, shockingly, in some instances, after birth. That partial birth abortion should be fully legal.
Fully legal. Oh, yeah. And he goes on into a whole bunch of other bits. But the part that I had to get to is that, they're a Democrat. Those Democrat, they want abortion to be up until the moment of birth. And you heard him say it, after. See, now that's a new one. That's a new little bit of caveat. Now, I've said this before. Now, my wife and I have 3 children. There were 3 times where we raced to the hospital. One of them at 100 miles an hour. Fortunately, statute of limitations is well past, so I can't be held accountable for that. But at no point did the doctor look up from the sheet and go, which way are we going with this? Seriously, I mean, this is what they want you to believe. They want you to believe that it's, anytime. It's anytime you want up until after now. How far after? I got a 17-year-old. Sometimes he gets on my nerves. Can I go? Is that what you believe? This is how crazy it is. Now, the reality, when you go and you look it up and you actually use some facts, in 73, when the Supreme Court decided Roe versus Wade, the general consideration was before 24 weeks. Where I grew up in Ohio, it was before 20. Virtually every state has one of these. Now, what they are talking about these dangerous late-term scenarios where the child's not viable, going to die anyway, and is going to cause harm or death to the mother. What he's saying is, screw the mother. We're so ideological. We don't care about her. And what's interesting is a woman testified today from Texas, oddly enough. Her name was Amanda Zerwoski, I guess. Amanda was evidently has an incomplete cervix. Why I need to know that, I don't know. But evidently what can happen is it can rupture prematurely and it will cause late-term miscarriages. So as she's going through this misery, doctors don't know how to deal with her. I assume they would have aborted the child at that point to save her the misery. They had to wait until she was septic, and finally agreed that she was ill enough, that she was sick enough, that she was close enough to trouble that they could induce labor, and the child then passed away. They could have saved all this pre the Roberts Court. Could have saved this woman all this misery. And now she and a couple of others and a couple of doctors are suing Texas because you need to clarify, how are you going to care for these women and their needs in these moments of where moments matter? But again, it's not about that. It has nothing to do with, they don't care about you or me or Amanda or the child for that matter. It's about the politics. It's about the division. It's to keep us pitted against each other. There's no solutions here. Have you seen any of them come out and say, okay, well, we're going to force people to have children, but we're going to make sure that they get education. We're going to make sure they get fed. What we do know is North Dakota said, no, we're going to make you have a child no matter what, but no school lunch programs because that's not the state's responsibility. How freaking insane is it? And again, this isn't just the abortion issue. You know, a listener sent me this Vice story that this Moms for Liberty group is organizing all around the country. And here in my backyard right now, they're attempting to take over my local school board, which would be the worst thing that my little fair borough could possibly do, was to bring lunatics into the school board. But that's what the Moms for Liberty people are doing. And because it's all about the gays and the trans and the books, got to protect the children. And this Vice article goes into a woman who was evidently, Southern Baptist, finds out her son's gay at church, I guess, goes through all of the things that crazy religious people do around that issue, conversion therapy, counseling, all of that. But it wasn't until she's brought on by these zealots, by these parental terrorists, that she goes, almost off the deep end. Because this is one of I learned this years ago, and this is why this issue is kind of important. I'll say, a girl I dated years ago, her brother was gay, and his community embraced us. And I had an opportunity to speak with all of them, and they would tell their stories about how their parents disowned them, how a couple of them, their parents wished them dead, how a couple of times they were homeless and the parents drove by them on the streets. Just some of the worst kind of stories that you could hear that a parent would do to a child, and you go, how is that possible? What parent would do that to their child over that, or over anything? I mean, I cannot fathom. So part of me looks at these issues that don't affect me personally, but say, what if it is one of my children? What if it is someone that I care about that's being mistreated, like we're seeing all of these zealots demanding that it's their vision of what should be? What would you do with your child? I remember a guy good union guy, good neighbor, fantastic guy. We began talking about abortion, and one of the things is I've said where I'm always at. I'm pro-safety. And I said, well, what would you do if your daughter, had to go into the back alley to get an abortion and she died? And he said, this is where my mind just doesn't go. He said, I wouldn't shed a tear. I wouldn't shed a tear for her. How do you deal with those kind of cold and callous people who are doing the things that they're doing? Look, I've got problems around some of the trans issues. I've got problems around some of the things that are going on. But I come at it from a place of, what if that were my child? What if that were someone that I cared about? Would I treat them the same? And what's frustrating is, and I get these emails from people who are just some of the most vile stuff. I can't read on the air because FCC rules, and there isn't enough of it to clean up other than the hatred and the vitriol for people that they don't know. So I keep coming back to this moment. How do we deal in a society where our politicians are the ones who are heeding the rhetoric? Our politicians, the ones who are supposed to help us solve problems, are the ones that are creating more of them. How do we deal with a society where it's not about fixing things, it's about tearing things down and destroying things? It's about tearing us apart. As I say, for me, it's not about red hat or blue hat. It's about hard hat. It's about getting back to work, about moving forward, getting things done. But sadly, with leaders like Ted Cruz, right out and out lying, how do we move forward? Because there are people who believe Ted Cruz said it. A U.S. senator said it. And it's a flat out lie. I want to hear your thoughts. Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com.
I've been driving buses for 5 years, and my day-to-day routine is I wake up a little earlier than most people. I get on a bus, I go out, I pick up some students and make sure they get to school nice and safe. Here in Fairbanks, Alaska, that can be a challenge because of the winter weather and the icy roads. But I love the job. So the Teamsters are great. They provide us a lot of protections. They've always taken care of their people, made sure that our jobs were secure. We didn't have to worry about whether or not we'd have a job from day to day.
And that's amazing because before we'd be working 4, 6, 8 hours a day and only earning minimum wage was real difficult to make a living. Then the Teamsters pushed a law so we make something we can live off of and not have to have a second job. What absolutely gives me peace of mind. The union membership allows me to focus on this job without having to worry about whether or not my family is going to be taken care of. I'm Andrew Case, and I'm proud to be Teamsters Local 959.
Calling all builders, all welders and roofers, engineers and electricians. Calling all brick masons and boiler makers, steel workers and steam fitters. Your country is calling you to rebuild America, to create a cleaner, safer, more prosperous future for all. Tackling climate change, this is the job of our lifetime. It's time to build back better. Let's get to work.
Before we close the program, we want to take a moment to thank our viewers and to share a little bit about why we do what we do. At the Rick Smith Show, we believe that media today is almost entirely controlled by corporate greed. So we have now 24-hour news channels. But instead of 24 hours of news, what we get is 1 hour repeated 24 times, and with tons of commercials creating obscene amounts of profits. Information once presented as a public service has now become a private commodity. So when lies make money, lies are what we get. We get a corporate-controlled rage machine feeding us anger and hate, trying to convince us that our problems are right, left, or red, blue, when they are and always have been up, down, the wealthiest 1% versus the rest of us. Our goal is to be an alternative to that machine, not as a news show with a fancy journalist out front, but as a talk show run by a union truck driver and a team of working-class heroes just like you. Everything we do, both what we get right and what we get wrong, is dedicated to advancing the interests of America's working families. No corporate ad buys, no think tanks, no focus groups, no talking points. We are media by working people, for working people. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you back here next time.